I hope that everybody's having a good day. Today's date is May 20th, 2026. I haven't talked about this in a while, but before we start, I want you to look out there at how many tombstones you see. That's how many broken dreams I have and how betrayed I feel. I talked about, this anal wound that I had a while back and the terrible ordeal that this thing has been. Yeah, I'm saying all this thing has been for me is nothing but drama since October 18th of 2025. And I'm saying the terrible ordeal that I've had is one wound care company had to quit me because there was a death in the family and a maternal issue. And another wound care company said I'd have no big copay, and that turned out to be a lie. I started getting bills for hundreds of dollars, and then all of a sudden they went bankrupt on me, and they had to let all of the patients go with like 4 or 5 days notice. And so all of them have been taking different measurements on me. Some will measure the depth of my anal wound, will measure it 3 centimeters. Some will measure it 4. Some will measure it 8.5. Some will measure it 7.4. Some will measure it 7.5. They'll measure it 5.3. It's always something different, and the bottom line is I was right that anal abscess wounds are not healable. If you get an anal abscess wound when you're 50 years old like I did, or 51, I was 50 years old. If you get an anal abscess wound when you're 50 years old, if you live to be 100, you'll still be having to have home health come out and pack it 3-4 times a week for you and stuff like that. And the lie they told me is the things heal up when they don't. And with that said, I'm ready to curse this matter. And I'm ready to just curse this matter in God's name. And so with this going on, just to tell y'all, that basically means that I can never take a vacation ever again. I can never go anywhere ever again. I can't go camping for a week ever again if I wanted to. This means that I can never go swimming in the lake, never go swimming in a swimming pool ever again. That's what this anal wound means. And I just told you that. So the 2 wound care companies that had to go out of business because of the death in the family, the maternal issues, and then the second one that went bankrupt. I'm going to tell you some more force majeures here in a few minutes. So meanwhile, when we were trying to get supplies back in January and February, the supplies I needed, the distributing place got totally destroyed in a tornado. So I couldn't get supplies for a whole month because of that. that I needed to heal this thing up, or per se to heal this thing up. That's a lie that these things are healable. I found that out the hard way. And so then, after we find another supplier, and like, you know, early February or something like that, Oklahoma pulls something with some stupid pilot program to where, making it where my insurance will no longer cover the supplies that I need to be treated. And that happened to me. So then we had bad weather here. Other supplies, when I needed them, couldn't get delivered because it was down to 0 and it snowed and everything was icy, and they couldn't even get around. And then also between here and another distributor on my medical supplies, it was so icy that they couldn't do anything back in February. And this thing has just been drama, drama, drama. One person will see me and tell me this thing is improving. Then another one will see me and say, oh, you're 7.5 centimeters. Then one will say, oh, you're 3.5 last week on the measurement. And it's just drama. And all I got to say is I just don't believe anything anybody's telling me. I don't believe them, and everybody's been a liar. And I call them a liar because I'm frankly frustrated and quite tired of the drama. I let them be a liar. So you know, with me telling you that I will never be able to go to a theme park, never again will I ever be able to go to a water park, never again will I be able to go swimming at the lake or swimming in a swimming pool. Never again in my life will I ever be able to relax in a warm tub bath. Even if I live to be 100 years old, it'll never happen again with this thing, because I mean, it's like cancer with them things. Once you get an anal wound, like I said, if you're 50 years old, you'll have this thing till you're 100 years old. You'll have it to the day you die. And that's how frustrated and how tired I am of being lied to about this thing and all of those fancy fixings. And since, you know, I've got to be restricted like that for the rest of my life, this place looks more pleasant to me. If I'm not going to be able to live my life and I'm going to have 3-4 doctor's appointments every single week, you know, till I'm like 100 years old with this thing, or however long it is, never be able to do anything I want to do again, and never be able to take a vacation ever again. I pray that I'm not here anymore. I pray to God that I'm not here anymore to deal with that anymore. And the restrictive nature of it. I'm saying if it's going to be that way, I might as well be sitting in a jail cell rotting away, staring at 4 walls 24/7, because intellectually, mentally, and spiritually, that's what I'm doing, is basically staring at 4 gray walls 24/7 with no windows, basically. And that's how this life has felt to me. And that's how this matter with this anal thing has been. And the people that are in hospice, they don't have much of a life either. And That's why I'm at the graveyard today, just to curse this matter and hope that God answers my prayer that I just prayed in here. And it's a desire of my heart he would answer that prayer, because he's already said that I was going to heaven. If something happens to me, he's already shown me that I'm going to heaven. And I'm just saying that if I gotta have that and basically sit in a jail cell till I'm 100 years old, I pray that God will have mercy on me with that and answer that prayer and allow me to curse this matter, and that be the day I don't have an anal wound anymore. And then the talk was today, you know, I might have to buy some real expensive medication today, and they're always springing something else on me. It was like one wound company last month wanted me to buy a wound vac out of pocket when my measurements are so all over the place that my insurance will not cover a wound vac. And the measurements they've been getting will not, I mean, they just won't cover it. And the wound care company last month was wanting me to buy the wound vac totally out of pocket, and then, you know, pay for all the treatment and all of that stuff anyway. And they kept hounding me about it, hounding me. When another doctor looked at me and said, well, that wound tunnel is too small for you to even be optional for a wound vac. There was a whole bunch of drama over that went on for about 3 weeks. And I'm saying all of that went on. And that whole deal was $24,000. You know, the doctor, the equipment, the whole treatment, all the antibiotics, everything's $24,000. And when I was in the hospital, that was another $27,000 there. And you know, I had a big copay on that of about almost $2,000. And then a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm just saying the amount of drama that I've had with that is absolutely unreal. And see, another thing too with this drama is they'll all come in and say, yeah, your wound is improving. Then the next day they'll say, no, it's not. I say, well, your measurements are better. Then the next day they'll say, no, they're not. And then they'll say, well, why is it so red? They'll be like, oh, that's gone, it's doing good. And it has stressed me out to points that I can't even put into words. And I asked God to answer that prayer I said earlier in that video. And you know, if I'm never going to be able to go on a trip again, I'm never going to be able to travel again, never be able to go to the lake anymore, or, you know, swimming or go to a water park ever again because of it, I just assume go to heaven, and I pray that I do. And I pray that God will answer my prayer, and in His time, He will end my life here as I've requested. Because those things, it's a lie that they can be healed, and I found out the hard way that they can be healed. And I'm tired of being told fake news. I'm tired of being told BS every single day that ain't true. I'm tired of BS. I've heard all the BS I want to hear. I don't need no more BS. Hopefully I can find the keys to the kingdom. Hopefully. I cursed affairs in this life, but I did not curse Christ, and I didn't curse anything that he did. I just cursed the affairs of this life, because there's no sense in me getting jacked around like that, and I don't need that kind of drama in my life. I've actually thought about just signing legal documents and just stopping treatment on this wound altogether, and making reservations and just saying, well, if the infection comes back and I get septic, I've thought about just saying, well, that's it, because sepsis will take you out in about 2 to 3 days. I've already read up on being septic, and when I had the first go around, I was septic, so I know what it feels like to be septic. And so basically, I've been thinking about just stopping treatment completely on this thing, and if the thing comes back, just letting the sepsis take me out and go about my merry way, and be content in the decision. And I've lost absolutely nothing here. I've lost nothing, and I'm saying all the relationships I've had have deteriorated, and the one with my family for years ago fell through because of power and control and all of that. And I'm just saying I've lost nothing here. And spiritually and emotionally and mentally, I have nothing left here, y'all. I have nothing left here. And especially with an anal wound that I'm gonna have to have appointments 3 to 4 times every single week with no end in sight. I'm just at a place that you know, that's just basically like being in the correctional system. I mean, you know, sitting in a cell so many hours a day. And that's what that's been like, is sitting in a jail cell, because I mean, it was many years ago, and I went to jail years ago, and what I experienced in jail was the best analogy to describe how this has felt. And this has felt like jail. And I feel like I've been in jail. And, you know, being controlled by all this medical stuff to the extreme, and you know, it's sad that nobody can tell me the truth on this matter. Nobody can tell me the truth. And you know, I went to several other doctors, and I got several other second opinions on this thing, and they say try one thing, then I try it, then I'm making progress, then they come in the next time another company comes in that I'm told basically that I have to have, and then they're saying, no, we're not going to do that, we're changing your orders, we're going to change your orders to this. And then, yeah, we'll see for several weeks. And I've had to start over as many times as I'm willing to start over. And I've just had enough of it. And this is an update, you know, on this thing. And you know, that's just how I felt about this matter. And I'm going to do a panorama all the way around me. And I want you to look at how many stones that you see, how many gravestones you see in this video when I do a panorama. All the stones that you saw in that panorama, that's how many promises I feel that have been broken unto me. That's how many incidences of fake news, false prophecy, and lies. I've been told a lie for every stone you saw in that panorama. That's how many lies I feel that I've been told. And I don't have no use for a liar. That's how many broken promises I feel that exist in my life, as many tombstones as you see around in this video as I pan this camera around. That's how much betrayal this life is actually about, and I'm telling you the reality of it. That's the reality of this thing. Yep, and I'm gonna say to everybody in this video, I pray that everybody that's in this graveyard will rest in peace. I sincerely pray that they will rest in peace. That's especially after what I've been through. Yep, I thank God to answer the prayer that I had in this thing. Hope everybody has a good day. And I'm going to say a little more here. And you know, everybody has told me, basically, you know, that I need to get an appointment with a surgeon. Well, since October of last year, yeah, I tried to get appointments to go see the surgeon 3 times. They're so backlogged that they wouldn't even return my calls 3 times. So then I call another outpatient clinic to get them to bid me on this matter. They won't even return my calls either. And you know, I've waited months on that, called back several times, and they wouldn't return my calls. So, you know, when everybody's told me to do that, that's what I've run into with that. And so, you know, I haven't been able to do what I'm supposed to do because of that mess. And I've decided to just curse this matter because I can't never get nowhere. I've had enough of it, and I don't need it to be that way anymore. And so then, like, if me as a patient, if I request something, you know, the insurance has to approve that first, and I don't have any say in this matter here. And like I'm saying, I'm really strongly considering signing legal documents here to officially just stop treatment on this thing. And if the infection comes back, just know that I've surrendered in my heart to say that I'm not going to treat this anymore, and I'm going to move on, basically, and I'll let being septic take me out in 2 to 3 days, and I'll go my merry way. That's how frustrated I am with this thing. I'll go my merry way. I'll let being septic take me out. Because according to HIPAA laws, I don't have to treat it, and they can't make me treat it according to HIPAA laws, even if I'm septic and dying. I mean, they can't make me treat it, and I'm just saying that's what's going on here, you know, with how bad, you know, this is, and how I'm struggling with it, and how I found out the hard way that perianal abscesses are terminal wounds, and you have them for the rest of your life, and they are not healable. And I know that this video here is really getting long, but I thought I'd give everybody a health update. I'd be truthful and transparent about everything, and how I have no say in this matter, and nobody can tell me an accurate measurement. They can't tell me if I'm 8.4 centimeters deep. They can't tell me if I'm 7 centimeters. They can't tell me if I'm 3 centimeters deep. And they can't tell me if I'm 5.3, 5.4. They can't tell me how many centimeters deep I am. And it's just drama, drama, drama. You'll think you're making progress, and then it's all fake. You have to start over again. They give you another real bad one saying you're as deep, and then plateaued, and, you know, plateaued and hadn't progressed any in like 4 or 5 months. And I'm gonna close this matter, and I'm gonna say, let the affairs of this life, let my hardship and all of that be cursed in the name of God. I hate this life. I hate this life. I curse this life. Curse the affairs of it. Much love, y'all.